In this example, there are two free ends of small bowel, both of equal diameter, which will be joined together in an extramucosal end-to-end anastomosis. The sutures will be passed through the serosa and into the submucosal plane, which is difficult to see in this porcine bowel model. Two stay sutures will be placed at either end of the bowel, starting at the antemesenteric border. The bites are placed at least 5 mm from the wound edge. The stay suture is placed in a hemostat and is not tied at this point. Stay sutures are not tied until the end of the procedure, as their position may need to be adjusted once both walls of the anastomosis have been closed, particularly if there is any discrepancy between the diameter of the two edges of bowel. It is important to remember that the bites should not pass through the bowel mucosa, as this layer will add no strength to the anastomosis. In addition, bites placed through the mucosa may cause ischemia. Bites should also avoid the mesentery of the bowel, as this may affect the lineup of the anastomosis. Once the two stay sutures are in place, the bowel can be lined up for the anastomosis. In general, it is better to begin the anastomosis at the antemesenteric border and work towards yourself. This ensures that the assistant can position the stay sutures standing on the other side of the patient and will not obstruct your actions. The first suture is placed 5 mm away from the stay suture at the antemesenteric border, again taking care not to pass through the mucosa. When approximating two pieces of tissue, a slip knot can be useful to bring the edges together and adjust the tension. Always ensure the knots are placed to one side of the wound to aid the healing process. Successive bites are placed through the tissue 5 mm apart and 5 mm from the wound edge. The interrupted sutures may be either hand-tied or an instrument tie can be performed. Occasionally, you may find that taking the individual bites through the wound edges is difficult. In this case, your assistant can hold the tail and bite of the suture, thus stabilizing one edge of the wound. Once the anterior edges have been approximated, it is necessary to flip the bowel over to close the back wall. In this instance, the antemesenteric stay suture should be pulled toward the surgeon and the mesenteric stay suture passed beneath the bowel to the assistant. When closing the posterior wall, begin at the end distal to the surgeon, placing interrupted sutures and working proximally. Once the posterior wall has been closed, the stay sutures can be tied. For the sake of demonstration, we will now open up this portion of bowel and examine the mucosal surface. The suture line can be visualized, all covered by a layer of mucosa.